And we're going to talk today about things, how you can improve your game of golf, few tips and tricks and hacks, and learning from best golfers in the world and from the studies which have been done by Titleist for last 20 years in the institute. They were actually doing loads of studies on top golfers, PGA players. You might know John Ram. He's with them since he was 17. So they really helping him and other golfers. So I want to share with you some stuff which can actually help you general health, your game of golf, and you definitely stay away from injuries if you imply that into your life. And so we're going to start with something, the thing which surprised me most when I was studying functional movement, breathing. So if you look at many techniques of exercise like Pilates, yoga, functional movement, and if you look at the sport, rowing, golf, running, we have to breathe. We have to breathe anyway, but certain techniques help us to get better performance. So golfers usually, they struggling with mobility in the thoracic spine. And so correct breathing techniques will actually improve mobility in this area, so this segment of your body. And of course, we want that to be more mobile because that will help us to get a longer, to get better swing. So let's think about it for a second. I want you to sit down and relax your shoulders first. Okay, bring your chin slightly to the chest, lengthen back of your neck. And we're going to breathe into the nose, out through the nose. And just observe if your upper body moves. So this is your tip number one. We don't want too much movement in upper body. We don't want any tension in the upper body when we breathe. So try to breathe more into your belly. And you will see your posture will change because diaphragm will push your lungs up. And straight away, your posture is different. The spine is completely different. If you even look at me, most of us are rounded. So if I start breathing into the belly, out through the belly, and my upper back is relaxed, that's completely changed everything. If you apply that to your daily life, especially when you're performing sports like golf, that there are studies done which prove that actually will help a lot mobility in that segment. So that's for tip number one. So let's just stay here for 3 breaths now, into the nose, out through the nose, and you're going to place your hands on your belly, and thumbs are on your lower ribs, and we're going to just take 5 breaths here. Relax your shoulders as much as you can. Into the nose, out through your nose, and try to exhale fully the air out from your lungs. Exhale fully. Let's go for 2 more. And relax. Well done. So that was my tip number one. And it's nice to start kind of mindfully the class because it's early morning, Sunday morning. I really appreciate you being here. And now we're going to move on to hack number 2. So, and hack number 2, it's actually mindfulness. And if you look at the top golfers in the world or any professional golfers who plays on the tour, they all work with some psychologists, sports psychologists. And the sports psychologists, I know that from my own experience, they go with the golfer to the golf course and they help them to stay calm, to don't get distracted, and they help them to stop the thoughts bombarding them and taking them from what they're doing, what they are at. And if you play golf, or even if you don't play golf, but you are into any sport, you know, thoughts, sometimes they can actually cause more trouble than we would expect. So there is a little technique which you can implement to your daily life, or you can do that before your game. I would recommend to do that the morning when you wake up and you know you're going to play your competitions or some match. You're going to just sit in your bed or after having your breakfast for a few breaths for maybe 2-3 minutes. You're going to sit. So we're going to practice this now. Very simple. You can learn that very quick, and it's mighty. So I'm sitting relaxed. You can close your eyes or you could keep them open. It's up to you totally. And we're going to take a few of those breaths, which we practiced already, into the belly, out through the belly. And nostril breathing actually helps to calm nervous system. Good. And just bring awareness to your toes. Feel your toes, soles of your feet, your heels and ankles, shins and calves, back of your knees, and your thighs. Feel your hips, relax those hips, your lower back, middle back, and your upper back. Soften your upper back. Relax your shoulders, your arms and elbows, forearms and wrists, and feel your hands. So you really want to feel your body. Then move to your belly, feel your belly. Relax your stomach muscles. Soften your chest. Soften your neck, back of your head, and soften your face. And we're going to just stay here for a few breaths. And you want to feel your presence in the place where you are in this room. You want to feel your presence in your body. And when you're ready, we're finished. And you should already feel more grounded. The thoughts should slow down. So this is very simple technique to slow down and calm yourself down. I know many players, lots of my clients, they would do that in the car before when they drive into the golf course, they do that. It takes only two minutes, maybe 1 minute, and they just relax. They know, okay, now it's time to let go everything. I'm not thinking about anything else. Now I'm gonna go and play the best as I can. So they are the first tips we're gonna talk about it today. And now I would just to explain the difference between the top players and amateur players. So top players, normally they only play golf and they have plenty time to work on the mobility, stability, and strength and power. Usually they work also with professionals who look after them. And what that causes, more likely they actually have fantastic mobility in the thoracic spine and in the hips. General population or amateur golfers, we are actually struggling with mobility in those areas, in again your middle back and in your hips. And this is caused because we sit a lot. And if you think about average person, when you wake up and you go into your kitchen, you sit down, you eat your breakfast, then you sit to your car, you drive. So you sit again in the car, yes? Some people only sit 15 minutes, some people drive for 1 hour, or they stay even longer in the traffic. Then you're in work. In work again, most people sit. After that, you finish work, 8 hours sitting or 7 hours sitting. Maybe you had few breaks between that to few walks, but mainly you sit. Then you come back home, you sit, you eat dinner. Some people go to the gym afterwards, but some people will stay at home and watch television, so they sit again. And then they go to bed, and so many people, they sleep actually in this position, so they sit again. So if you think about it, about our body, so we have this thing occurring in our body, it's called reciprocal inhibition. It's process which, if I look at my biceps, okay, so my arm, if I contract my biceps, my triceps have to relax, okay, because it's antagonist muscle. And the same happens with our hips, okay? So if I look at my hips, so I have my core Then underneath, I have my hip flexors and I have my glutes. So if I sit a lot, if I stay in this position most of the time, those muscles here, the hip flexors, okay, they're quite deep there, they become quite overactive because they're constantly on. If they are constantly on, sorry, I hope you can see me. If they are quite a lot on, the muscles opposite to them, antagonist muscles, my glutes, they become underactive. And if that happens day after day for many hours, what that causes, they become constantly underactive. So people like that, they will go then to driving range and they will try to use the glutes to generate power and to be strong and hit ball far. But they, instead using glutes, they be using muscle synergists, which will synergist to hip flexors. So they be using hamstrings and lower back, and then they become tight. If that happens, the core becomes underactive and won't work either, so won't protect our spine. And then we create this big bubble of problems. And then you say, but you can go to the gym and do squats and that will fix everything. It actually won't, because if the glutes are turned off all day, you start doing squats, and again, you'll be using your lower back and hamstrings instead of glutes. So today I will show you a few exercises which will help you. You can practice them at home. And if you notice your muscles are not active, I will show you a little test how you can test them. We can actually retrain them to start being active. And I would recommend that then to do that maybe every day for at least a month or 6 weeks to get this memory back to the muscles. And so that's what we're going to do today. So I hope that will be interesting. So that's the difference. That's the main difference between average golfer and professional. Professional golfer, it's not sitting on the laptop, it's not sitting in traffic every day, 5 days a week. So they actually are more mobile people. If you look at Rory McIlroy and his movement of his hips, it's amazing. And how this happens, because he constantly working. He's in the gym 5 days a week working on it, and he has professionals who look after this. But you can do that yourself, but you just have to put effort and you have to notice there is problem. So there'd be no harm maybe to do something about it. Okay, I just want to talk about one more aspect, anatomy aspect. I know sometimes anatomy is quite hard, but look at this. This is quite simple. So if I look at my body, sorry, I just moved slightly back. My body, it's made from different segments, okay? So I have my feet, my ankles. So feet are kind of stable. My ankle joint, it's mobile. It's called stable joint because only moves in one plane. There's very little other planes. Hips are mobile. Pelvis and lumbar spine, they kind of one segment. We put them into one bucket and they are stable. Then I have my thoracic spine, which is mobile. My shoulders, they mobile. Elbow, stable because you can see it only moves in one plane. And wrist, mobile. Shoulder blades are a little bit different, our scapulas, because they mobile, but they glide on the rib cage, but they are also stable to provide mobility for my shoulders. Neck, of course, it's mobile. And we need all those segments to work in harmony. So we want them to do them job. So if you sit a lot in work and your posture, it's not, I wouldn't say perfect, but it's not neutral, what happens then, the hips become stiff, so they're not mobile anymore. And other segments like knees or lower back, they will have to compromise for them and they will kind of start doing things which they're not supposed to do. And that will cause injuries. Okay, I just moved that so you can see me better. So one more time, we want definitely ankle joints to be mobile. Foot is quite stable joint, knees to be stable, hips to be mobile. So that actually answers you straight away question, where I need mobility, where I need to where I need stability, and what kind of trainings and what kind of drills I need for my body. That's really good tip, because it will be easier for you to go to YouTube and type, okay, for golf I need definitely thoracic mobility. Great. I will show you some exercises too. And shoulders have to be mobile, because if you think about golf swing, we're actually using all those joints, and we move in so many planes. So we're not only moving like in running or rowing one direction in one plane, we're actually rotating those hips. We have to have stable core, yes, to provide mobility for my thoracic spine. If anything is missing, will cause injury, or you're going to lose your power, because you generate power from the ground and it goes up to this segment. And if this segment doesn't work correctly, you're going to lose the power. Okay. So what we're going to do now, I'm going to show you a little warm up. And I have my golf club there. If you just wait a second, I just swing there to get my golf club for you. If you don't have a golf club, that's no problem, but I hope you have a mat ready. If you don't have a mat ready, please grab a yoga mat or something what you'll be able to use. I just tilt that slightly so you can see me. Perfect. So this is very simple warm-up. I would suggest to do that always before you start hitting the balls on the driving range, because I see people coming to driving range without warm-up. And if you think you are one of those people who sit a lot, and then you go into driving range and you're going to start using the clubs and hitting and using your body, and you were sitting all day, you're definitely going to injure yourself. Or that might cause wear and tear in different parts of your body. So this is number one. You have to warm up, and please start warming up before your game of golf, because if you warm up before you play, you're actually starting nice and fresh as a daisy. Nothing will happen to your spine more likely, because the body will remember to recruit right muscles at the right time. If you don't do that, unfortunately, it will take 6 holes to warm up. And you're actually going to lose so many points at this stage, because first 6 holes, that's like third of the game. So I will ask you to stand first. If you don't have a club, that's the finest. You don't really need yet. And we start with the neck. So there is this technique called star, and we're going to create, imagine you have a little laser at your nose, and we're going to create little star sign with our nose or with this laser. So I'm going to just tilt my head up as far as I can, extend, and then flex. Then I'm going to go side. So we are going to go to left as far as I can, and right. And then I'm going to go in diagonal up, down, come back to the center, and diagonal other side, down, center. One more time. Go up, down, center, side, side, center. Go in diagonal, up, down, center, other side, up, down, center. One more time. Up, fully up. Really extend your neck. Chin tuck, come back, side, side, center, diagonal up, down, center, diagonal up, down, center. Very simple. I just leave my club for a second. Now we're going to warm up the spine. I want you to soften your knees. Soften means micro bend, so they're not hyperextended. And I'm going to reach my arms over my head. Okay, push the hips forward and gently fall forward, bending my hips. Knees are soft. And hands to the ground. And slowly come back up. Just try to engage your glutes. Squeeze your glutes to come up. Reach arms up. Inhale. And again, push your hips, but just try to go a little bit farther. Hold your belly button in. Good, look up, and again, fall forward. Head is relaxed. Again, knees are soft. Pressing through your quads, using your glutes. Come up, reach your arms over your head. Inhale. Exhale slowly. Last one down. Nice and slow, because more likely you don't want to pull anything. You want to feel what your body, how your body feels, how your body is this morning. and come up to the center. Okay, so that's nice and easy. We're going to bring feet together. Okay, arms over your head, inhale, and we're going to go to side bend, and we're going to drive with our hips. Just make sure you're not loading your lower back. Come back to the center and move to other side. So this is kind of active stretching or dynamic stretching, I would say, side to side, or just warming up. Everything good, and come back to the center. Well done. Okay, we're going to separate our feet, and we're going to stand in the 5-iron posture. I'm going to put my hands over my shoulders, and we will start with the pelvis. So I'm going to try rotate my pelvis without using my upper back or moving my upper back or shoulders. So keep the upper part stable. If you're going to play that on YouTube after this is live, I highly recommend to have mirror in front of you and to see what is happening. So I want you to move your hips side to side, rotate your hips, okay? Rotate your hips without moving your upper body. Now, some people like to do this, okay? This is lateral movement or side movement, and we're not looking for that. I want to have mobility here, rotation, not side to side. This is more like Zumba, okay? So we're not doing that. So try to rotate. Good, come back. Now we're going to rotate this part of my body. So this stays quiet and stable, and I'm going to rotate my thoracic spine without moving my lower part or my pelvis. That's difficult, isn't it? Some people start moving all together. So now that's your job, to start practicing that. This is mighty, because that's what is happening. If you think about golf swing, I move my hips, the upper body follows through, of course, and arms and club, and then my lower body comes down, yes, rotates first, and then upper body follows. If that doesn't happen, there is big tendency for golfers to stand up and do crazy things with them shoulders, to try to manage to stay in line. So you want to avoid anything of that. We were warming up also neck, because if you think about that, you always keep your eyes on the ball. If your neck is immobile or it's not fully, if it's not fully mobile, you will actually move away. And that will cause, I just stand sideways, reverse spine angle, and also you will try to rotate from your lower back, okay, because your neck cannot stay in line, and that will lead to injuries in your lower back, and we definitely want to avoid that. We want to play, we don't want to be injured. Okay, so then I'm going to grab my club. I hope you have one. If not, you can still practice that without the club, but the club is actually really cool. So I'm going to put my hands on the club and move my hips again, rotate them, okay? That's quite simple, because this is helping. So I'm putting a little bit pressure to my club to activate my core. And now I'm going to put my foot, I start with my left foot behind my right knee. I'm going to try to keep my upper body as stable as is possible and rotate my lower body. So rotating my hip, good. I would do maybe 8 reps. Okay, and when I feel quite confident, okay, that can move without that moving, I'm going to lift the club off the ground and try again. So now I have to recruit more my abdominals, my core muscles, and come back. I will ask you to switch the leg. I can't, obviously, because I had surgery, but let's say you're going to go now for your right foot. So right foot behind your left knee, hands on the club, little pressure into it, activate your core, and slowly I'm going to rotate my lower body, upper body quiet. Go for 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3. Some people will find that hard for balance, but that's good. We have to practice that too. Lift the club off the mat and try again. You see, this is quite simple. You can definitely practice that before you play or before you practice on the driving range. Will definitely benefit you, and come back. Okay, so I think there'd be no harm to warm up our shoulders too. So if you have a club I extend my arms. I keep my arms, maybe my hands shoulder distance apart, right hand with over grip, left hand with under grip. And I'm gonna just few times rotate towards the right hand side. So whichever hand is with the under grip, that hand is leading. Okay, so I'm gonna lead a few times. And now I'm gonna go a little bit farther. And try again, maybe 3 reps, 2, 3, and come back, and maybe a little bit wider. All depends how flexible you are, and don't feel guilty if you're not very flexible, if you're only starting. We all started somewhere. At least you're doing some steps towards that. And now we're going to flip the hands over. So left hand over grip, right hand under grip. Again, my hands are shoulder distance apart, and I'm going to just rotate. 1, 2, 3. And I'm going to go a little bit wider. 1, 2, 3. And we're going to go the widest I can. And let's go. Again, twisting, rotating. There's a little bit difference between one side and another. 2, 3. It's good to know that. And release. And I think this is very simple, easy to remember. If you really want, I can write this down for you after the webinar. You can just send me email, and I can actually send that to you. But we can, if we have enough time, we might squeeze that again before we go. Okay, so that's quite interesting. Really important to do. So I hope you feel you're ready to do some exercises now. Just tie my hair, and I think we're gonna go down to the mat. So if you have a yoga mat, put that down on the floor or go grab it. And we're gonna do just a few little exercises for certain parts of your body to make sure you definitely know why we're doing them, what they should supposed to do, how to use them correctly, where to start. Okay, so just slightly move that. So I'm going to go get to my mat, and I invite you to do the same. Just move that away. Okay, so first thing I would highly recommend is cat-cow. Cat-cow, I'm in all fours. So my wrists are under my shoulders, hips and knees in one line. And I'm going to move slowly into flexion and extension, but I want you to go one vertebra at a time. Okay, I'm spreading my fingers nice and wide, cat claw my fingers to protect the wrists. We don't want them to overwork. So I start in neutral. Neutral is kind of normal, okay? And I'm gonna just tilt my pelvis, take my tailbone under, and first I'm gonna just run my lower back, then my middle back, upper back, and head. So I want one segment at the time. Now I'm gonna extend my sitting bones. I'm holding my belly button into my spine all the time, and slowly go to lower back, middle back, upper back, and neck. With the neck, I would only look to the front of my mat. I wouldn't be looking forward because that hyperextension would try to avoid that. Okay, let's go again. Tailbone under, lower back, middle back, upper back. And in normal warm-up, when I teach my golfers drive on the driving range or before they play golf, we do that standing. But it's very difficult to do that standing if you are not able to do that in all fours. So let's do that one more time. So make sure you're tilting your pelvis, okay? So first, it's my pelvis, lower back, middle back, upper back, and neck. And again, tailbone, under, lower back, rounding, middle back, upper back. So let's come up to standing. Okay. And we try to do that in standing position. Sorry, I just see it. And you can't see me fully. Now that's better, I think. I hope you can see my spine now. Okay. So 5 iron posture, again, feet are separate, hip distance apart or a little bit wider, depends how it's your golf stance, hands on my shoulders, okay? So we have different postures in the golf, okay? So some golfers are neutral, and that's what we're looking for, okay? Some golfers are in C curve. C curve, it's kind of rounded back, you see it? So they have a club here and they stand like this. So you can see there is not, the posture is quite away from the neutral. Neutral is here. So neutral, there's slight S curve, slight, okay, just normal. And the upper back, it's not rounded. C curve, you have actually a lot curve in the whole area of your spine. A lot of golfers does have that, and this is caused especially by seated position during the day. Okay, so just see where you are. Some golfers are hyperextended in the lower back, so they have hyperlordotic curve, and then they round it in upper back. So this is called S posture, and we don't really like to see that either. So we want to be kind of between it. That's why this exercise is so important. So let's see if you can perform cat-cow standing. So we're gonna arch and round the spine. Okay, try it, because it looks easy. We were just doing that in all fours and it looked easy, but it's completely different when you don't have as much support. You have to recruit a lot more muscles. Few more, rounding, extending, and come back to neutral. Some people will experience lower back pain straight away because they feel, oh my God, I'm going out from my range. I'm not doing that normally. And some people will experience this perturbation. So it's kind of strange feeling of cracking or something moving very slow and shaking. It's called shake and bake, I think, in TPI. So that's not good either. So we have to get spine to move more fluid, in more fluid motion. How to practice that? Again, come back to your mat and practice cat-cow. Nice fluid movement, and we want all segments to move, okay? Not only all rigid movements. Okay, so that's perfect. I hope that makes some sense and you're learning something. So I will ask you now to lie down on the mat, on your mat. I just tilt that slightly down so I can see me better, I hope. Push that away. So I'm gonna lie down. And just notice if you can do the same with your lower back when you're lying down. So now you have lots of support. I just leave my arms for the purpose so you can see my back. So I'm gonna arch my back and then round it, keeping my tailbone under. And again, arch, rounding, arch, rounding. So I would like you to get to neutral. So neutral spine, it's kind of, I barely can put my hand there underneath my lower back. So there is tiny little bit space between it. So I'm not imprinting, I'm not forcing my lower back down, and I'm not arching, okay? So I'm gonna relax my arms, chin it slightly took, I'm lengthening back of my neck, and I'm gonna bring one leg to tabletop, knee over hip, and my shin is parallel to the mat, and I'm gonna bring the other leg up. One leg down, and the movement occurs here in my hip. So come back up, not in my knee, okay? So don't cheat and don't do this because that's cheating, okay? So we want to bring to a nice 90-degree angle. And just observe if you are able to maintain this neutral spine. So your back shouldn't be moving, your hips shouldn't be tilting, and your head shouldn't be moving on the mat. If you feel you actually kicking to do that, you're not recruiting your abdominals, okay? Your transverse abdominals. So please try to stay as stable as you can. And now draw your belly button down towards your spine and keep those muscles kind of hooked like you were wearing corset. So let's go one more time. Up, up, down, down. So this is brilliant core exercise. Up, up, down, down. And breathing applies to that too. We're breathing into the belly, out through the belly. upper body, it's relaxed. So on that, we can build all our core exercises. So I would highly recommend to all golfers to do core exercises, but do them correctly and implement that, what you just had learned, into them. So if we want, start doing crunches, okay? We're gonna put the hands at the back of our head, elbows in 45-degree angle. I'm in neutral spine, and I'm gonna crunch up and shorten my abdominals. Look at between my knees and lower it down. And make sure you're not doing that with your head. You're actually shortening your abs. Okay, so let's go up again and down, and we can add the legs. So crunch up, bring one leg to tabletop, other leg to tabletop, one leg down, other leg down, head down, crunch up, one leg to tabletop, other leg to tabletop. Make sure it's tabletop. If you suffer with hyperlordotic curve, if you have excessive lordosis, you can bring those knees slightly closer. Okay, that will turn off the back muscles, but otherwise, I would keep the knee over the hip and lower down and down. In golf, we recruit a lot of oblique muscles. Obliques are helping us to lift the leg up, obviously, but they also help us to rotate, okay? We want them to fire properly and fast. So we're gonna keep the hands at the back of the head. We're gonna do some little exercise for them. And we're gonna crunch up, come up to crunch, and we're gonna gently rotate from side to side, okay? So I'm only rotating as far as my hips are not moving and I'm not tilting, I'm not shifting my hips, they firmly staying there. So let's go for 5. Don't overdo, there is no need for overdoing this. And make sure you're not doing that with your neck, okay? So your head stays in the same manner all the time, and I'm actually moving my lower rib towards my other hip. And switch, and switch, and switch, and switch. Stay up. Bring one leg to tabletop, other leg to tabletop. And we're going to continue. Now there is a little bit less base of support. So you have to work harder to don't tilt from side to side. So we avoid this, okay? That's definitely, it's not what we're looking for. Stable base, mobility in my thoracic spine. Okay, so let's move side, side. 5, 4, 4, 3, 3, 2, 2, 1, and 1. If you want to go crazy, you can extend your legs in kind of diagonal, and let's go for 5 more. 5, 4, 4, 3. Don't go too low. You want to have neutral spine. 3, 2, 2, 1, and 1. Okay, hug your knees, bring them close to your chest, gently move side to side. So what we want to avoid? We want to avoid any excessive movement here. We don't want head to move. We don't want to be pressing down to the floor and causing any problems to our spine. We want neutral spine and as much control as is possible, because every sport so far I had done, I noticed the more control and more relaxed you are, not relaxed, I couldn't say relaxed, but more control and less tension, that's the good word, the more you can actually achieve. And especially with golf or rowing, on the beginning, people are really tense and they're holding and they're thinking, I have to force some power, but that doesn't happen. Everything has to be integrated in perfect manner, quite relaxed. So the force can be brought from the legs up and down, and that's the key for the best performance. So we had a little bit core. We don't have that much time left, so I won't be trying to stay on the core. Now we're going to move to our glutes. Glutes are called king of the swing. And that's where the most power is generated. And if you think about it, glutes are the biggest muscle in your body. And they're so powerful, but they are really prone to be underactive. There's not such a thing like overactive glutes. So you cannot develop overactive glutes. So I will show you a simple exercise which will help you turn them on, okay? So I'm lying down, again in neutral position, yeah, so I can barely put my hand there. I'm drawing my belly button towards my spine, chin is slightly took, arms are relaxed. My feet are maybe in line, my heels are kind of in line with my knee or tiny bit farther. Don't go too far and don't come too close, okay? So kind of nearly in one line. You can bring them slightly together and we're gonna gently reach up. So when I'm gonna perform the bridge, I'm gonna use my glutes and I want to make sure you use your glutes. So imagine you have a 50 euro note between your bum cheeks and you're gonna hold this 50 euro really tight so nobody is able to take this out. I know that sounds funny, but works, okay? Your brain communicates with your muscles and that's how we get this nice coloration there. So I want you to think about your glutes. So you have a right and left and imagine the headlights in the car. So you want to turn on the right light and then left light, right and left. So squeeze the right glute, left, right, left. And now we're slowly gonna have both lights turn on, holding the 50 euro notes. You're using your muscles, and we're gonna reach up, lift up to the bridge position. Okay, from here, we're gonna extend our left leg into diagonal. So both thighs gonna remain in the same line. And if you want, you can reach your arms up toward the ceiling because that will protect you from kind of using your arms. So we're gonna extend the leg into diagonal. And your job is to stay here, stay up, don't drop, okay? Don't tilt, stay nice and strong using I'm hoping you're using as a primary mover your glute. If you're feeling not really, my hamstring took over or my lower back took over, you definitely have to start working on it, and even starting with this turning on light exercise that really helps building this connection, okay? You can start with 30 seconds on each side and build up to more. And Titleist Performance Institute has a junior golfers doing that 3 to 4 minutes and they have no problem on each side. That's how strong you can develop your glutes, and that's where we're aiming to. So let's switch to other side. I can't put weight on the other leg, but we're gonna do together. I just use the same leg. So you're gonna lift this time your right leg. So slowly turn on the lights, both lights. Good. Elevate your pelvis. Make sure you're not arching your back. Okay. So we're only going as far as we can extend our hips by squeezing our glutes. Extend your right leg into diagonal. So both thighs are in one line. Your arms are reaching, chin is stuck. Make sure you're breathing, and we hold, breathing, and just notice where I feel that. Do I feel that in my glutes? You can even palpate. Is my glute turn on, or is my hamstring taking over? Is my hamstring going to cramp? Am I dropping my hips? Can I stay nice and strong in this position? Breathing, or maybe it's your lower back. We try to avoid lower back in this exercise. And slowly lower your foot down, and vertebrae by vertebrae come back down, knees to the chest. So if you ask me, I think there might be a question, how many, how often? I would do that every day for at least 6 weeks, okay? Starting with headlights. I know it sounds simple, but that's how you're teaching your body correct movement. And then start with both feet, just lifting up and down. So even only with that, and down. I would do 10 repetitions of this, nice and slow, making sure you're not arching your back. Then I would add lifting up using both feet, extending leg up to diagonal, or if diagonal is too much, you can extend leg into the ceiling for count of 10 repetitions. Then you can lower down into diagonal when you get better strength. Then I would start introducing, from instead of lifting up from both legs, bilateral, I would bring the leg into the chest. So that will lock my lower back. We want to avoid the lower back. And we're gonna lift up and lower down. Usually when I teach that, I recommend to lift up and hold for count of 5, and then slowly lower it down, maybe 10 repetitions. When you master to stay in that position when your back is not recruiting, I would extend leg up towards the ceiling and continue. So you're not arching, because some people have tendency to arch and use the lower back. We don't want that. So this will protect you from doing this unnecessary move. And then you can start using band, or you can start putting some weight on your hips, and it's more like hip thrust. Absolutely, you can do loads of different things with it, but I would start with the basics, because without basics, you cannot build proper foundation for power exercises like plyometrics or cleans or any exercises which professionals are doing, but they had done those basic things first. Okay, so maybe something for hips mobility. There's this lovely exercise, and we're gonna lie down. Feet are separate, maybe hip distance, mat distance apart. Yeah, mat distance width. And I'm gonna go from side to side, but there is big tendency to use lower back again. So I want you to keep your back neutral. So I'm gonna go only as far as my back is not arching, and come back and switch. So both knees falling to the left. I should feel that gentle stretch and return. And switch. Instead of, if you don't really keep your back neutral, you see, I actually dumped all weight to my lower back. So there is this kind of, we try definitely to avoid that. So I'm keeping my core engaged, have a neutral spine, and just going gently side to side. And then I feel that actually in my hips, not in my lower back. So please avoid excessive movement or tilting in the pelvis. Your head shouldn't be moving. We want only hip to move. Okay, so let's come up. I hope that's helpful. And I show you now some thoracic spine mobility exercises. They just for this area. So we're gonna lie down on our side. I'm gonna put my bottom hand from bottom arm on my knees, my top arm behind my head, on my hand behind my head, and I'm gonna look up towards my elbow. I'm gonna gently open, and I'm really firmly holding my leg to avoid movement again from my lower back or hip, and I'm gonna open as far as I can and return. And again, my head follows the movement of my elbow, and I'm going as far as I can and come back. You shouldn't feel pain in any of those exercises. If you do, you may be in contact with your medical doctor. You should feel release, stretch. That's all. You shouldn't definitely feel any pain. Come back. And now, if you want to, you can go for full arm extension. Okay. Just make sure your shoulder blade doesn't do anything. It stays quiet, stable on your rib cage. Make sure your eyes are following your arm. One more. So my eye line is constantly on my thumb, going back as far as I can and return. And now, I'm gonna extend both arms forward. You have to now put a lot of effort to don't move your hips, okay? So my knees staying together. And I'm gonna draw a circle with my fingers. I'm gonna go up with my top arm, up over my head. Now I'm gonna rotate my arm out and go behind me. And now, yes, there will be a little bit mobility occurring here, but there shouldn't be any movement occurring in my hips, so don't cheat. And my fingers, I'm quite mobile this morning, they stayed fully on. If you will notice, at some stage, your fingers will start lift up the ground. That's fine. That's fine. But you're aiming to slightly push them towards the ground because that's where the stretch happens. Please don't rush with it. Especially in this point, you will feel a lot stretch in your chest and shoulders. Okay. Again, you can do 8 repetitions. I wouldn't be rushing with it. And come back, sit up, and let's switch the side. So my knees are bent in 90-degree angle. That will support my back, okay? So I don't want my back to be arching. It's in neutral, or maybe it's slightly in posterior tilt. So I will start with placing my bottom hand on my knees, okay? Other hand at the back of my head. I'm gonna look to my elbow, okay? And I'm gonna open the book. It's called Open the Book, this exercise. Stretch. I'm really firmly holding here and come back. If you feel that in your lower back, your angle between your thighs and belly, it's not enough, it's not close enough. So you might bring the knees even closer. That will lock, it's called a lumbar lock. Okay, so that will lock your lower back. So go again. Return, open out again. Make sure your head follows through. Return. And let's go with arm extended. So my arm is stretched. I'm looking at my thumb. Come back. One more. Opening. Return. And circles. They are my favorites. So you can extend your arms or you can prop your head with your bottom arm, whichever you prefer. Arm is extended here and my fingers are drawing circle. Yeah, I'm not very comfortable that way. And make sure there's not movement in your pelvis or in your knees, and come back. And again, let's go for 2 more. And 1 more. And slowly return. And come back to seated position. And sorry, and I can see the time, it's 54 past. So I hope those exercises make sense. And if you want to see more, you can always start following me on Instagram or Facebook. I always post something there, or you can contact me if you need any help in these areas. But before we go, I really wanted to talk a little bit about nutrition. So I don't want to really skip that. So if you don't mind, we just move back to sitting here. I hope you feel nicely open now at this stage. So nutrition. So nutrition is usually people ask me, send me messages. What should I eat before the game? What I should be doing eating during the game? And if you look at the professionals, they do eat during the game. Like Tiger Woods, he would eat every 3 holes. And on the beginning, when I started playing golf, I used to be a runner. So I used to run marathons, and you eat gel here and there, you have big breakfast, but when you're running, you're not really eating. You eat only a few gels or a few dates and stuff. And that's it, because you're not able. But with the golf, it's different. You're 4 hours there playing and you need fuel, and especially you need fuel for your brain, okay? Because if your blood sugar level goes really down, you won't be able to concentrate, and you start compromising, and you might start getting nervous, and it's really hard to achieve anything if your brain cannot focus. And the same is with water, with hydration. So number 1 tip is drink plenty of water, okay? And you might think, it's fine, I drink half liter of water when I'm playing, but did you drink before enough? And are you hydrated in general, or maybe you suffer with dehydration all the time? So very good tip is to, when you wake up in the morning, you should drink at least 30% of your daily intake of water. And that will protect your joints, okay, from wear and tear. Because if you think about your joints, like spine, especially, you have this little jelly cushions, okay, your discs. And when they become dehydrated, they really prone to get injured. The same with is with your hips. You have synovial joint fluid which needs water, and there's collagen and different things. You really have to drink water. So when you go and play, if you starting getting dehydrated, you definitely going to lose your power. And this was proved in studies about bench pressing. I was reading about this other day. They let the athletes to perform bench press. Then they waited until they were 10% dehydrated, and they perform bench press again, and they notice a lot loss of strength. And that applies to golf too, because if you look at the drive, okay, so that you have to generate power there, and there's no doubt. You can start watching long drive competition and you see those people, they look like beasts, they're so powerful and strong, they're hitting so far. And they, if you become dehydrated, you straight away going to start losing that. So at the whole 18 or even 15, there'll be no power. You'll be tipping away, but that won't be as your first drive. So number one, hydration. Number two, eat breakfast. If you get proper breakfast, you're helping your blood sugar to be set for all day. More likely you won't get those bad crashes unless you eat Snickers bars or drinking soda. But if you eat healthy, I tell you now in a second what to eat when you're playing. But if your blood sugar stays kind of on the same level, you definitely will be able to stay focused, and you won't be feeling anxious, and that really helps. That will help your muscles. So what I suggest, eat something what will have fats, carbs, and proteins. So we don't usually recommend to eat only this or only that. Okay, marathons, running is different, rowing is different, but in golf, it's 4 hours. You definitely need something what will keep you going. You need all those nutrients. So eat big breakfast, or see what works for you. Maybe you don't want to eat big breakfast because you are like Tiger Woods. You're going to eat every 3 holes some almonds and dried fruits, or peanut butter sandwich, or beef jerkies, a little apple or banana. But avoid sodas or any bars which gonna start this sugar roller coaster in your body. So we'll be going whoop and down, up and down, and then you'll be like all over the place. I don't know what is really happening. No, try to create something what will be sustainable. That's very popular word now. When you kind of on the same level all the time, and you can eat before you play a game. If you don't like big breakfast, because I really wouldn't eat anything heavy, maybe some eggs, salmon, avocado, little sandwich with avocado, guacamole, and then of course some brown bread. During the game, almonds, dried fruits, as I said before, maybe some yogurt. You can buy those yogurts which you can drink. And no, I know people say all yogurts are bad. Not all yogurts are bad. Do some research. We have internet now. Everybody can just type it in and find out what is good for your body, what will keep your sugar level on one sustainable. And also after the game, so many golfers, they come to the golf club, they eat 2 Snickers bars, they barely drink water during the game, and then afterwards they go for big fry or big chicken curry with chips and pints. That won't really help your muscles if you think about it. Maybe go for some rice and chicken, something, and of course vegetables, 100% some vegetables, something easy to digest, something what your body can absorb. And if you have to have a pint, it's up to you. Maybe one, it's okay. Maybe you go for non-alcoholic like myself, just to get the sodium back. You can also, actually very good tip, I know the time it's nearly over, so just one more tip. You can also put sprinkle of pink salt into your water while you're sipping that, especially if the weather is hot, because you're losing with sweat lots of sodium from your body. So that will kind of nicely replenish that, and you stay hydrated. And hydration will stop you from this wear and tear in your joints. So very, very important to keep water constantly with you. And I hope that's not too many tips. I know if you want me to answer any questions, please type them for me. I hope you enjoy this. Good bit information, I suppose.